broadcast. I think I was muted that whole time, wasn't I? So apologize for I'm just messing up right and left here to start our broadcast this evening. But again, I'm Dale Parrish. I'm the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana, and I want to welcome you to the broadcast tonight. We have a lot planned for you this evening, and the first thing I want to do is I want to bring on my co-host, Ken Kashuba. Hi, Ken.
Hello, hello, Dale.
Was I muted there? Did I have myself muted to begin with?
Yes, you were. I was waving at you and trying to type you a text, and you were halfway through the intro, I believe.
I think I was. Yeah. Well, I'm going to blame it all on Debbie. Okay. Well,
that's okay. Yep.
Yeah, she's our in our interview segment tonight, so we'll just blame it all on Debbie. But anyway, I wanted to again introduce Ken as our co-host, Ken Kashuba. Ken's our state communications coordinator, and so I brought Ken on as a co-host. I think this is your second or third broadcast. I can't remember.
We're up to 3, Dale. We're up to 3.
We're up to 3. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So Ken's going to be with us now for the duration, and so we're very, very happy to have Ken with us this evening. And so I want to first of all, I want to mention now that so much of what we present here on this broadcast can be found in our state newsletter, which if you're a supporter, you'll receive that via email every month. Otherwise, it can be found on our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana, as well as our national website, conventionofstates.com. So that is a resource. Both of those really are resources for much of the information that we present to you on this broadcast. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. We strongly urge and suggest that you submit your viewer comments and questions in the chat section. So Ken will be monitoring those and will be telling us what people are saying, and so that will be what Ken will be his main responsibility this evening will be, in fact, to edit those comments and questions. So very quickly, the way our broadcast will go this evening is the first segment will be our interview segment. And tonight we have our super volunteer, Debbie Stewart, with us to give us a civics lesson this evening. Then in the second segment, what we call the contributors segment, we have John Ackerman with a contribution from John's journal. And these are pre-recorded short dissertations by individuals that we've identified as contributors that have certain opinions and like to express those opinions. So John's a good one. So he'll be bringing those on in the contributors segment. The very last segment, we're going to make a little change here, and we're going to introduce you to a concept that we're working on moving into next year, 2022. A little different concept with our Monday evening broadcast and our roundtable broadcast. And we're going to introduce you, hopefully, if Ken can find the the slide that we're looking for, we're going to introduce you just briefly to a program that we're going to be using for polling purposes. So next year, we want to use this program to get your input on what you would like to see us talk about on these broadcasts. So I won't say any more about that right now. That'll be what will end up the program on tonight, and also let you know what we have planned for next week's broadcast, and close it out for the evening. So that's what we're planning on doing this evening. So let's bring Debbie on and get into this first segment here. So Debbie's going to be talking to us, giving us a civics lesson this evening. So let's bring Debbie on here. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Dale.
So
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for blaming everything on me again. No.
it was your fault, Debbie.
Well,
I'll explain to you later that how
It's all those superpowers you bring on, Debbie. It just kind of messes up the software, I think.
I'm telling you.
See what I'm saying?
Well, my kids and my husband would probably be in agreement. It's probably my fault.
All right. Well, Debbie, you're going to talk to us. Let me see if I can get a different screen here. I don't like that one. Yeah, let's bring you up over here. There we go. We'll give you the big screen.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Well, Debbie, you're going to give us a civics lesson tonight, and I think you told us you were going to be talking about Congress, right?
Yes. Yes. I love talking about the way our Congress is set up and just a lot of details that if people don't know. You know,
Okay.
we don't always get down into the weeds a little bit. So I want to talk to you about the United States Congress, and United States Congress really has two sections. We have the Senate, and then we have the House of Representatives, and we'll get into those into each of those in a little bit here. But every 2 years we have elections for the House of Representatives, and so in the even number year we'll have an election. And then in January, those House of Representatives, people who won the election, will go to DC in January, and they'll begin that Congress, whatever that Congress number is. We are currently on the 117th Congress since we began back in 1789. Okay, so they go to Washington, D.C., and those that had their first term are called freshmen. Just kind of interesting. But the congressmen, even though Congress is the Senate and the House, most of the time, only the House of Representatives are called congressmen. Typically, the Senate is called senators. So there's several titles we have for House of Representatives. We call them either congressman, representative, member of the House of Representatives, or sometimes just member of the House. And that's just the terminology in Washington, D.C. Now, senators, on the other hand, who fill the other section or the other house of Congress, they are elected every 6 years. And so when they get reelected in January, if it's their turn for a reelection campaign, they will go to Washington, D.C. also in January to start the new Congress in the odd year. And some of the titles senators go by are either senator or member of the Senate. Those are typically the two titles that they are called. And both senators, again, and representatives are called congressmen, but for some reason we've gravitated more towards saying that the House of Representatives are congressmen. So it's just good to know that when you hear people talking. Okay, so let's talk about the organization of the Senate. Okay, so I mentioned that senators are elected for 6 years in a term. So, but the way they do it is they don't want all the senators to be reelected on the same year. So what our founding fathers did is they set up a system where 1/3 of the senators are reelected in 2 years. And then the next 2 years, there'll be another third of the second third of the Senate will go up for reelection. And then in the sixth year, the last 1/3 of the senators will go up for a reelection. So in a 6-year period, all the senators will go through some kind of reelection campaign. And the freshmen, of course, this will be their first election campaign. The first Congress was from March of 1789 through March of 1791. That was the 2-year period of the first Congress. And as I said, today we're on the 117th Congress, and convened in January of 2021, and it will end. The next Congress will convene in January of 2023. So it's always odd number years when Congress reconvenes. It's interesting because in order to do this rotation for the Senate, the very first time they organized the Senate, the first round of senators were only elected for 2 years, and then the next for 4, and the next for 6, the way they did it, so that they all would get on that rotation schedule somehow.
Mm.
So they actually got a little bit cheated in the beginning of their 6-year term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unlike the House of Representatives, where it's possible for a person to be a freshman and many of them be a freshman the same year, the Senate on purpose wanted to be more stable. And that's why they set up the 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. Since most congressmen from the House of Representatives do get reelected every 2 years, it could become unstable, but normally it doesn't, because you have a lot of people that go up for reelection and of course they win. But the way our founding fathers set this up was that they intentionally made the Senate strategically stable so that would never happen. And you wouldn't have too many new people coming in at the same time. Okay, a little bit more about the Senate. The Senate is called the upper house. And it's very interesting. Most people think the reason for that was when they originally met in New York and then Philadelphia, they were on the second floor. So they were called the upper house.
Oh,
But the Senate is considered to be more prestigious than the House of Representatives. We have 100 US senators, 2 from each of the 50 states. So every state gets 2. It's equal across the board. The senators serve longer terms, they're 6 years. And the requirements for being a senator are a little stricter than they are the House. First of all, they have to be a US citizen for at least 9 years. They have to be at least 30 years old. And they have to be a resident of the state from which they are representing. And then the Senate is made up of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And actually, if you look at the breakdown right now, out of the 100 senators, 50 are Republican, 48 are Democrat, and the 2 independents are siding Democratic. They're caucusing with the Democrats. So it's an even split. But who breaks the tie in the Senate? Anybody know?
Vice President.
Yeah, and is our vice president a Republican or a Democrat?
Yeah, well, who knows? But I think
yeah, so we're leaning blue in the Senate for a lot of things because she is, The oldest senator is Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Grassley. They are both 88 years old.
Really, that old?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
And age related is very interesting. Over half the Senate is 65 and over.
Wow.
Yeah, and 20% are between 70 and 80. So we have the average age of a senator is 64 point something years. It's one of the older ones we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the leader of the Senate is the vice president, but the vice president isn't around a lot. So they have somebody called the president pro tempore, and they pretty much lead the Senate. Okay, a little bit more about senators. They were originally chosen. A lot of people don't know this. They were originally chosen by their state legislators.
Exactly.
Legislatures. But in 1913, they passed and ratified the 17th Amendment that said that now they would be elected by popular vote. And
there are a lot of people that would like to see that amendment revoked.
Yes.
Because we could do it. We could do a whole segment on the implications that have come about due to that amendment, and with regard to control of the Senate and the role that the senators play. Anyway, we won't get into that tonight, but
right. That might be a good talk and why that happened and the effect it's had on us.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But okay.
Yeah. So in a little bit, we're going to talk about the roles of the senators and congressmen. But just so you know, the Senate has some responsibilities just for them because they are considered more prestigious. They have the role of advice and consent for the president. And they also, if the president wants to have a treaty with another country, 2/3 of the Senate have to ratify that treaty before it becomes before it's ratified. They have to approve it. And they also have to approve nominations for ambassadors, and that's the Senate only. Okay, so now let's move on to the House of Representatives. Okay, the House of Representatives is much larger. It's made of Democrats, Republicans, and independents. They're only elected for a 2-year term. So every 2 years, every single one of them has to be reelected. So they probably feel like they just get in there and then they got to go through their campaign again. The requirements are not quite as stringent. They must be at least 25 years old. They have to be a U.S. citizen for at least 7 years, and they also have to live in the state where they're representing. Right now, we actually have a member of the House that's 25 years old. So we do have a very young one right now. I think he just came in this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the way they figure out how many how many representatives there are, they do it by population for each state. So the bigger the population is, the more representatives you get. But the Constitution does say that the number of representatives must not exceed 1 for every 30,000 people. So when the first House came in 1789, there were 65 members of the House, but by 1912 there were 435, and Congress limited the members to 435 at that time, in 1929. So now they take those 435 seats and they divide them up among the states. And when there's a census and your population either goes up or down, they'll readjust who gets the representative. So if you lose population enough, you may lose a representative or two. If you gain, you may gain some. And then when the census gets done, each state then divides them into congressional districts. So that's how that's apportioned. It's called the lower house, the House of Representatives. And the leader is called the Speaker of the House, and they get special responsibilities. They could decide which bills to vote on. They have the most influence on deciding who serves on certain committees and things like that. And the oldest member of the House is Don Young, and he is also 88.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how Congress works. Now, some of you may be thinking they don't. But that's not what we're talking about here. We want to know how they work together and some of the things their roles and responsibilities are. Okay. The senators gather in the Senate chamber in the Capitol. And so you'll hear a lot of times they'll say the floor of the Senate if somebody's speaking on the Senate floor. And congressmen or House of Representatives, of course, they gather in the House chamber. And when they meet together, it's called, the formal meeting is called sessions. And again, if the House member is on the floor speaking, they'll say the floor of the House. Now, when the House and the Senate have to work together, it's called a joint session. That doesn't happen very often. Actually, it's fairly rare, but we know there's one time each year where they have a joint session. Anybody know when that is?
One time a year.
One time a year.
State of the Union address?
That's it. State of the Union address. Everybody goes to that. The senators and congressmen have actually a lot of roles and duties. I was just going to kind of rattle some of the things that they do, because we see them on TV or, we see them voting and stuff, but they actually have lots of meetings. They work on bills. They're in formal sessions, committees, joint committees. They informally meet with other congressmen, senators, the president. They meet with individuals and groups and lobbyists. They work in their offices, send out emails. They travel back and forth from their home state, talking to the people in their state. They work in the many rooms of the Capitol, but there's also 3 buildings to the side of the Capitol that are set aside just for the Senate, 3 office buildings, and then there's 3 office buildings for the House of Representatives. And you've probably heard me say or heard other people talk, there's tunnels that go underneath from the Capitol to all those buildings, so it's kind of cool. And if you ever go visit and you get in the tunnel, sometimes you'll see the congressmen walking back and forth and the senators. So that's kind of how they work together on all those different things. I'm not going to get into details because that would be like another 10-minute segment on what those are. But I thought for a future one, it might be good to talk about how does a bill come to be a bill?
Yeah.
There's a whole series of processes.
Good thought.
Yeah, but there are a few shared responsibilities that they both work on. They both approve bills, so it has to go through both the Senate and the House. They both keep a journal of everything they do and say. It's called the congressional record to be accountable. They share in the role of impeachment, as we've seen over the last few years. The House investigates and they vote whether they want to actually move to impeach. But the Senate gets to have the trial, and the Senate is the jury. So they decide whether they're going to be acquitted or they're going to be guilty. And in order for that to happen, 2/3 of the Senate must vote to convict. So that's kind of what they do together. And really, I mean, in conclusion, when I kind of look back over a lot of the things we talk about, I feel like our founding fathers were very ornate and creative and strategic how they put our houses together. Not only do they have checks and balances between the Senate and the House of Representatives, but then the checks and balances between the whole of Congress and other branches, judicial branch, the executive branch, judges, and things like that. We have a lot of just amazing checks and balances. And so I feel like we have one of the best governments in the world because of all that forethought and wisdom that went into that.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Ken, any questions or comments from anyone?
Really, only the one that we can show that basically is what I expected. It was from Susan Lyon, says we need term limits.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. When you see the ages of some of the people are just getting very old, that's not to say they can't operate, but I think that we need to, be careful how long people are in there. Let people serve, do their turn, and then let somebody else do it.
I think that's what the original thought was with the forefathers anyway, was to, I mean, I know, coming back from those times, those people, they had a job, or or an occupation of some sort. They came in and served and went back to their occupation or job. And we don't see a lot of that anymore.
Yeah, I think the senator, I can't remember if it was Senator Byrd, I think it was actually the longest tenure of 61 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Is that right, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
long
that term limits for Congress as well as the federal judiciary and other officials, that's one of the pillars of our resolution in Convention of States. That's one of the main pillars of the resolution is to have a term limit. So it's a very, very, very good comment. And I do think we could do a whole program on the 17th Amendment and the implications of that. So,
well, I'm going to write that down.
So you can mark that down, Debbie. We'll have you might as well start preparing that lesson because there are a lot of people within Convention of States that are in favor of revoking that amendment. Now that's not one of the main cornerstones of Convention of States, but there are a lot of people within our movement that are in favor of doing that. So
we've got another question here. I'll pop this up to help us with this. Rick Lyon says, can the average person influence a bill's content?
Well, I would say yes. It's indirect though, because we elect our representatives. So it's really our job to get with our congressmen and send them. Email is beautiful. You can get it there in 3 seconds. And email, stay up on what's happening with all the bills, both for your state and both nationally. And then staying abreast of what all those are. And then talking to you can even meet with your representative when they're home. I know like Mike Braun has certain times that leaves a whole day open for us to go talk to him. So absolutely, you can influence them. We got to have a voice, and we are the voice. We are the people.
We had one other comment from Cheryl Schottmeyer, and she's another, is she a district captain or a regional captain? I forget.
She's one of our region captains.
One of our region captains. Cheryl says should have never passed the 17th Amendment.
Yeah. So it has me curious. If I would have had a little more time today, I would have looked at what was the reasoning behind that, and what led up to that. And was it a political move, or was it something they really thought needed to happen?
Interesting.
Well, we won't get into that. But those are good questions. Yeah. Understanding what led up to that. And I think there were some pretty good reasons at the time, but as with so many things, the implications of it weren't known and until today. So anyway, Yeah, that could be a whole program. That'll be a whole segment sometime. All right. Well, Debbie, you went over time. You promised you wouldn't, but you went over time. So.
Well, I think you asked too many questions again, didn't you?
I don't think that had anything to do with it. No.
Okay. I promise next time I'm going to keep it to 15.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Debbie.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, always enjoyed Debbie Stewart. I tell you,
Well, that's why she goes longer. We find it interesting, so we
yeah. We'll make some exceptions.
push her a little bit. So yeah.
Well, listen, let's Ken, let's bring on our contributor segment here, and let's listen to John Ackerman and his latest installment as from John's journal. All right.
Always like John's journal.
Oh yeah.
John Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana. I saw the coolest little 4-panel cartoon the other day, and I want to tell you about it, okay? In the first panel, there's a guy looking all downcast and glum, and this adult saying to this child, "Watch." Second panel, the adult says to the downcast, glum guy, "Hey, your hat is awesome. And you're awesome for wearing it." And the downcast guy says, "Oh, thank you." Third panel. The adult says to the child, "Now look at his face." And there's a little smile. The guy's not downcast and glum anymore. And then in the fourth panel, the formerly downcast, now happy guy is gone, and just the adult and the child. And the adult says to the child, "We all have powers." And the child says, "Cool." Think about that. You have the power to make the sun shine on somebody's dark, cloudy day. You have the power to bring a smile to someone's face. One of my grandsons, when he's feeling good and sees me or my wife, his grandmother, he'll put the sweetest smile on his face and he'll come and give a great big hug. And you know what that makes me do? You know what it makes my wife do? Makes us smile. Makes us feel warm on the inside. Because this little person, this little boy, loves us, is happy to see us, and wants to give us a hug. And you have in your power the ability to do that kind of thing for someone else. You're walking down the street, like in this 4-panel cartoon. You see somebody whose head is drooping and shoulders are drooping, and they've got a sad look on their face. You can find something about them to compliment them about, just like this guy in the cartoon. "Hey, your hat is awesome, and you're awesome for wearing it." You have powers. I'm John Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana.
That was a good one, wasn't it?
Another good one. Yep.
Yeah, John. He loves doing these. He's like I said, I've got a whole library full of them, or a folder now, I guess I should call it, full of these contributor segments. He does a great job. Well, Ken, did you find what you were looking for?
I did. I
You
did.
did?
I found it. Yes, I did.
Okay.
I need to pull this up here. If we
Okay,
can-
well, folks, while Ken's doing that, we want to tell you about the concept we're working on for 2022. And we won't get into any details on it tonight, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to go into more detail on our next broadcast. And in general, we want to make our Monday evening broadcasts like we're doing tonight. We want to make these much, much more viewer responsive. And we want to encourage more you as viewers to express to us what you would like to see, what would you like to learn more about regarding convention of states. And we will take that viewer input, and we will then direct you to our roundtable, our monthly roundtable, where we will address these questions and views and requests. So the roundtable will become much more informative, much more educational, and it will be driven by your input from our weekly Monday night broadcast. Now, am I saying that right, Ken, do you think?
Yep, I believe so. It's a way that we are going to basically connect and find out more of what topics of interest people that are coming to the broadcast are interested in, and that way we can better serve and explain how Convention of States basically fits into the puzzle of fixing America.
Yep.
So, what we will do basically with the software is present a number of ways that you can participate. Probably the easiest and most recommended is just by using your smartphone. We will have a QR code that'll show up on your screen, and you can use the camera portion of your smartphone to basically log into it'll bring up the Slido site, which will have the presentation on it as we go through it. The questions will be answered there, and you can answer directly from your smartphone. You can also do that through an iPad or a tablet, a laptop, or your computer. You have to bring up another tab to work out of that. That's just a matter of putting in the address www.slido.com, and then there's a code number which would attach to that login, which would hook you up to our questions and answers or polls. So if you want, Dale, I'll show what that looks like. The code itself, along with a number, this is what it would look like on your screen, and that.
All right.
You see all that?
Yep.
So that is how your screen will look, and basically you would just hold your phone up to that. Let me get this over here, see if we can show this a little way. You would basically hold your phone up to that QR code, and it would take you directly into the to be a participant. Or as it says there, you can join at slido.com, and you would enter that number into the slot for the presentation you're looking for. So it's really a simple way of connecting with us, and we hope to use that to certainly, as I said, connect more with what you're looking to do or questions you have, and we'll use that for future programming for our Monday nights as well as our roundtables.
I think it's really amazing, quite honestly.
Gotta love technology. Gotta love technology.
You gotta love it. You just gotta love it. It's wonderful as long as it works.
That's right. Well, you're gonna have your hair pulling sessions, but this is a great way to get involved. It really is.
And you can tell I've had a lot of hair pulling sessions in my time.
There you go.
But anyway. It's very slick, and anxious to introduce this. And now, Ken, on our next broadcast on the 20th, we're gonna play with this, right? We're gonna give everybody a chance to actually do it and play. We'll play with it, and so
might take us a few to get it all ironed out. But yeah, we do anticipate bringing this up so we can get started right away with it.
exactly.
Mhm.
And folks, you know, so many people have been asked. People ask, well, if I join Convention of States, what can I do? What can we do? Well, we're going to answer those questions. We're going to tell you what you can do by joining Convention of States. So it's we're really looking forward to connecting the Monday evening broadcast to the roundtable and making it a better package for everyone. So, okay, Ken, thank you very much for that. I know we're running over time tonight, but that's okay. What the heck?
We'll get that
Just want to
ironed out too.
mention that on our next broadcast on the 20th, we're going to be giving away some awards at our monthly state video conference call that we do for all the leadership individuals in Convention of States here in Indiana. And that will be on the 15th. And we're going to be presenting some major awards to 3 of our individuals. So what we're going to do is we're going to capture the recording of that presentation and show that to you on our next broadcast on the 20th. I might mention one of those individuals receiving one of these awards. It's a challenge coin award. One of those individuals is our own Ken Kashuba, right next to me here. So he's going to be getting one of these awards. So that will be our interview segment on our next broadcast. And of course, then we'll do the Slido demonstration for everyone. So that'll take up pretty much the entire broadcast next week. So let's wrap things up here this evening. Kent, are there any other comments or questions that have come in?
Not really. We had early on greetings from Dale Tipton, who generally chimes in and says hello, and Susan has passed on her congratulations, so I thank her for that. And she's getting an early congrats in there. And other than that, that's it for the night, Dale.
All right. Well, I just want to wrap it up real quickly here and say that we hope you decide to join us here at Convention of States in Indiana. Join our family. You go to the national website, conventionofstates.com, sign up, become a supporter, and volunteer for a leadership position if you have some time that you would like to devote. We could certainly use that. So just remember now, this Convention of States that we want to hold, according to Article 5 of the Constitution, has never been done. So when you join us and when we make this happen, you will be making history. We will be making history when we make this happen. So hope you can come along with us. That's it for us tonight. Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Stand up for our country.
Yep. Good night, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.